Guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review video, and I have 6 books. Now, one I don't have with me because I don't have it in a book form. I only used it, I used my mom's Kindle, so I got on my mom's Kindle, so it's an ebook more so than a regular book, so I don't have it with me, but I will talk about it first so I don't forget it. The reason why I had to find it in an ebook was because it was a V.C. Andrews book, and I've read when I go to book sales and stuff, they always have the older, like from the 80s or 90s book series of her books. They never have them in the more recent ones, like in the 2000s. So I have to read. I have so many of those, the later ones that I have to read, so I have to find them on I have to find them on Kindle and stuff. So, but I will say, the first book in this series is called Early Spring Series. There's only 2 books in the series, at least so far there is. And the first book when I got it on the Kindle, it was only $6.99, so you guys know. And the first book in the series is called Broken Flower. And Broken Flower is about this girl and her family. The girl's name is Jordan, and her brother Ian, and her parents live in her grandmother Emma's mansion. And what happens is she goes, and I don't know if this is a thing, I didn't want to look it up, but what happens is she's only in like the 2nd grade, so she's only like she's 6 years old going into 7 years old, and she starts going through puberty, and her mom is freaked out by it because she didn't understand how her daughter could be going through this. So here, they take her to this gynecologist or something, and the gynecologist diagnosed her with precocious or precocious puberty, which just means that in women, the estrogen levels are rising at a faster level now than when you get to the mature age, you know, when you get your maturity stuff. I don't really want to say it because I don't know if it would be too TMI for you guys or whatever. But basically, it was just like her boobs were coming in and she was getting her period. And that's basically what it is. So she has to take this medicine. And what happens is her mom does not like the grandmother. The grandmother is her father's mom. And here they go up to the cabin, and their mother finds out that her dad hasn't been the most faithful person. So what happens is the grandmother says to her mother, okay, well, you guys work out at the cabin, I'll take care of the kids. So what ends up happening is her brother comes up with this experiment where he's trying to make sure that she takes her medicine to see if it's working, to make sure that she's not getting her period anymore and everything's going back to normal. And the grandmother finds out about it, and throughout the book, it's basically this horrible experience with this minder woman who's kind of like this mean nanny to them. And Ian, her brother, ends up killing the nanny/minder. That's what they call him. They called it a minder in the book. I don't know why. And what happens is their grandmother calls up their parents and tells her parents what Ian's been doing. And in the process, as they were coming home, they got into a car accident, and her father ends up being in a wheelchair, and her mother ends up in a coma. And it basically what happens at the end is at the end of the book, their grandmother has a stroke, and Ian at this point is sent to some kind of mental institution. So it's just Jordan. And Jordan ends up since her grandmother can't take care of her, and they don't have a minder/nanny, and her mother's in a coma, and her father can't take care of her because he's in a wheelchair, and he still lives in the house, but he's like flirting with this nurse or something like that. I don't know. It's a really weird book. V.C. Andrews is like really, really weird. So she ends up which takes place in the 2nd book, but at the end of the 1st book, she has to go live with her great aunt in the 2nd book, and her great aunt's name is Frances. And this is the 2nd book in the series, like I said. This is called Scattered Leaves, and this is what it looks like. And basically, it's about Jordan again, and how she has to come to terms with kind of like growing up early, because, you know, she's only like 7 because of her precocious puberty, however you want to call it. And she ends up going to live with her great aunt Frances, and her great aunt Frances is kind of like crazy in a way. And what happens is her maid, she's not rich or anything. She just has a maid because of, you know, her sister Emma and stuff. So anyway, what happens is her maid has this daughter who Jordan becomes friends with in the book, and they discover that there is a secret in the attic. And this isn't like the Flowers in the Attic. This isn't like a prequel or something to Flowers in the Attic, if you read that series, the Gallagher series. It's not like a prequel to that. And that's basically what the whole book is about. I mean, there's only 2 books in the series, so a lot goes on in these 2 books. I really liked it because when I seen it in the beginning of the book, they're like, oh, she's got this like precocious puberty, and her brother was like looking in on her and stuff. I thought, oh, like this is gonna end like in an incestual thing, but it really didn't, which was surprising to me. So the next book I'm going to show you is this book. It's called A Cat Among the Pigeons. It's by Agatha Christie. This is what it looks like. And this is about an all-girls academy type of school. And what happens is the gym teacher, I mean, it's an all-girls school. All the professors or mistresses, whatever, or sisters, whatever you would call them, or all girls, the teachers and stuff are all women. And one of the women dies. Well, 2 women die, but the first one that this book is actually about is about this gym teacher got murdered, and the girls are trying to figure out, well, not really trying to figure out, is mostly the teachers are trying to figure out, okay, like who killed her and what. And all these weird things are happening, like this one girl who was some kind of princess or something. She was going to come home for a holiday, and this car picked her up, but then when one of the mistresses of the school called her parents' house, it turns out, or her parents' residence or whatever, it turns out that she never showed up, so she was kidnapped or something. And the reason why it's called Cat Among Pigeons is because I think it was with the girls, hold on, you guys. They was trying to figure out, like, the girls are kind of like the pigeons, and there's one cat among them, you know, like, you know, something like that analogy. And I don't know how you say his name. It's kind of like a French name, and I don't know how to say it. It's like that Hercule Pinpoint, or however you say it, guy. He solves the mystery in this book. It doesn't say anywhere on this book that he's in it, and it doesn't happen until the very like end of the book, like the last 2 or 3 chapters in it. And I really liked it. I mean, sometimes I really don't like Agatha Christie books. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And this one was really, really good. I really, really liked it. So that book was really good. So this book is a Debbie Macomber book. Now, when I bought these 2 books, there's another one in the series. When I bought these 2 books, I didn't know that there was a 3rd one in the series. So there's 3 in the series. This 3rd one I got it yesterday at a book sale. And this one is called The Manning Grooms. There's the Manning sisters and the Manning brides. And I don't know, I guess this is the last one in the series. I have no clue. Because it doesn't say, oh, this is like the 3rd one in the series or not. It just says the Manning Grooms, 2 bachelors, 2 unexpected brides, 2 stories you've been asking for. So I'm guessing this is the 3rd book in the series, and the first one I guess is the sister one, and the second one is the bride one. I'm not really sure. So this is by Debbie Macomber. This is what it looks like, and it's a 2-in-1 book. So there's 2 stories in it. The first story is about Jason Manning, and I've read this book so long ago that I keep forgetting. And this is the first one. The first book is called Bride on the Loose, and this is about Jason Manning, and it's about, he owns this like apartment complex that he owns, and he falls in love with one of the women who live in his apartment complex, who has a daughter, like a teenage daughter and stuff, and this teenage daughter sets him up. And what happens is his mother, when he says that he's in love with her, takes it a step further, where she wants to plan his wedding, because all of the siblings he has always either eloped or got married secretly, so this is her last chance to have this perfect wedding for him. And the second one is about this guy named James, who was almost a Manning groom. He was going to marry one of the Manning women, and what happens is he was some kind of superior court judge, and in the book he was going to run for, like, I guess, like the next position higher than that, and he ends up falling in love with this woman who he loves so much, and she's like younger than him. Her friends call him, like, oh, like, you're dating, like, it's like you're dating your dad, because he's, like, that old and stuff. And the guy that's his campaign manager finds out that she got pregnant with him, and they're having these babies, and they're secretly married, and he wants her to just go away, because he says, if you wreck this for James, it's going to be your fault, and James has to decide if he wants to either go be this candidate for this position, this judge position, or if he wants to be with his woman, Summer. I always forget, because I read these, like, so fast, I always forget. And this is called Same Time, the second one is called Same Time Next Year. And you'll have to see what he decides. So these books the series is called Secrets of the Blue Hill Library. I love these books. They're these mystery books about this woman named Anne, or Annie. It's spelled sometimes it's weird because it says it's A-N-N-E. So sometimes it's like, you know, some people, they have the E at the end of their name, and they're called Anne, and sometimes they're called Annie without the I in it. So I guess her name's Anne. And these books are, like, so good. This one is number 17 in the series. It's called Mum's the Word. It's by Emily Thomas. This is what it looks like. And I don't read these in order. Like, I just get these books. When I get them, I read them. I don't read them in the order that they go into. And it's not like if you read the 17th one and then you read the first one, you're going to miss anything. Like, that's not how it goes. So what this book is about Annie. Annie lives, and it's like this, it says, I don't know, she works in her great aunt Edie's library, because great aunt Edie died, and she inherited this library that is a library on the bottom, and then on the top is her house. And these books are so good. This is what it looks like. I don't remember if I showed you. And what happens is Annie goes up to the attic and tries to find her daughter a hat for her hat day at school. And she ends up finding this Egyptian clay pot or vase. And when she sets it out in the library at a display, the townspeople, or whatever you want to call them, inform her that this vase that her aunt had discovered 40 years ago in Egypt is actually cursed. And she finds out that all these things happened 40 years ago. She finds out from newspapers and from the library that 40 years ago all this stuff happened. Like, there was a flu outbreak, and there was a power outage, and her great aunt's friend Mildred, who she's still friends with, Annie is friends with, because Aunt Edie's dead, her necklace was stolen she thought it was stolen, and that was 40 years ago when Edie had the clay pot, and then miraculously it ends up being returned, and Annie has to figure out why was it returned, who stole it in the first place, and why does all the townspeople think that this clay Egyptian pot is cursed. It's a really good book. I really like it. Sometimes her books are centered around, like, some kind of, like, book, like some kind of book. Like, one time it was about a Shakespearean play, one time it was about an Edgar Allan Poe book, but this one was about, like, a clay pot. So this one is a really big book, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't read this book. But like I always say, I'm obsessed with the royal family. I can read books about them all the time because I like reading about them, and it's history, and I like reading about history. And this is called The Country Life Book of the Royal Silver Jubilee, and this is by Patrick Montague-Smith, and this is a big book. I don't know if it's even going to fit in the frame. This is what it looks like, and it's about the Queen's life. Now, her Silver Jubilee, I'm guessing, was in the 80s because it was divided into different parts. It wasn't like in chapters. And the first chapter was about how she became queen and the coronation and stuff. And then the next chapter was about the 60s and then the 70s. And then it talked about Prince Philip, her husband, and then her children. And it talked about how her day-to-day life kind of is being queen. And there's lots of pictures in it. There's pictures on every single page. So the book isn't really that long or anything. And in the back it has like a little family tree. This book was really interesting. So if you really like reading about the royal family or anything like that, or even about history, it was a really good book. So that was the last book I have for this book review video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. And please subscribe.